Jesus wept.
Right.
I mean, it's literally one of the most famous verses in all of religious history.
Right.
But when you actually stop to think about it, it forces a pretty uncomfortable question for you to consider.
It really does. It's a huge contradiction.
Yeah, because if these great historical figures achieved, ultimate divine enlightenment, why do we see them crying?
Exactly.
Why do we see them experiencing profound sadness or getting visibly angry or like flying into literal rages? I mean, shouldn't ultimate spiritual perfection mean you are completely detached from petty human emotions?
Well, we definitely have this deep-seated assumption that ultimate wisdom equals total emotional detachment.
Right.
When you first start digging into spiritual history, that contradiction, the supposed perfection versus the raw emotional displays, it's a major stumbling block for a lot of people.
For sure. But today we're going into a deep dive that takes that assumption and just completely turns it on its head.
Oh, absolutely.
We are exploring a highly provocative text from 2007. It was written by Yuefeng, and it's titled The Chapter of Preaching Tao, Article 32, What a Tao Achiever is Like.
And it is quite a read.
It really is. Our mission today is to completely deconstruct our preconceived notions of what spiritual enlightenment, or what this text calls achieving the Tao, actually looks like in practice.
Because according to this source, enlightenment is not about sitting silently on a mountaintop, completely removed from the world.
Nope, not at all. It is about engaging in a raw, unfiltered, deeply emotional reality.
Yeah, what this text does is it fundamentally redefines the entire universe. It doesn't frame existence as some mystical, unknowable void.
Right, which is what we usually expect.
Exactly. Instead, it describes the universe as a highly sensitive, precision scientific system. And it demands that we as humans operate in strict accordance with the mechanics of that system.
Okay, let's unpack this a bit. Because to understand how a so-called Tao achiever behaves, we first have to understand how this text defines the Tao itself, right?
Right. And we are moving entirely away from abstract philosophy here.
Yes, very literal. The text explicitly defines the Tao as a spiritual, impartial, and highly sensitive, universal precision scientific reaction instrument.
It's such a mechanical way to phrase it.
It really is. It states this instrument governs everything: the formation, the existence, the decay, and the ultimate emptiness of all life across all space and time.
And calling the fundamental force of the universe a scientific reaction instrument implies a really strict system of inputs and outputs.
Yeah, cause and effect.
The author provides some very grounded examples from nature to illustrate this mechanism, water flowing downward or clouds floating in the sky.
Things we see every day.
Right. The text views these as literal manifestations of the Tao. The water and the clouds are just following their intrinsic nature.
They aren't thinking about it.
Exactly. They do exactly what their nature dictates without any hesitation or deviation. So the text actually refers to water and clouds as Tao achievers.
Because they are functioning exactly as designed. They provide the correct output for their given input.
Yes.
And then the source material brings this into the modern world with practical analogies that make the concept, well, impossible to ignore.
Oh, the computer network analogy.
Yes. The text compares the Tao to a computer network. If you go to a search engine and type in the word human, the required output is information about a human.
Naturally.
Right? If you type in maple leaf, you expect a maple leaf.
Mm-hmm.
That predictable, uncorrupted response based on the input is the core attribute of the Tao.
And if it doesn't work?
Well, if you type in human and the network gives you pictures of a dog, the network is fundamentally broken.
It's a great analogy. The author uses several mechanical comparisons to hammer this structural logic home for you. Think about driving a car.
Okay.
When you press the brake pedal, the car must stop. If pressing the brake makes the car accelerate, that car lacks the nature of the Tao.
Because it's operating in defiance of its purpose.
Exactly. Or consider a bell. Striking a bell with a hammer requires the bell to make a sound. If it remains silent, it ceases to function as a bell.
That makes a lot of sense.
Even a seed planted in moist soil is expected to sprout. Failing to sprout means it is not fulfilling its intrinsic programmed nature.
I was thinking about this while going through our notes, and it made me think of a perfectly functioning vending machine.
Oh, a vending machine.
Yeah. So you put in $1, you press the button for a soda, and the machine dispenses a soda. That is a pure, uncorrupted system of input and output.
Right, the universe working as intended.
But imagine you put in your $1, press the button, and the machine spits out a handful of gravel.
That would be pretty exciting.
Yeah. Or, just takes your money and does absolutely nothing. You would look at that machine and immediately know it needs repair.
Without a doubt.
So what this text is arguing is that human beings are acting like broken vending machines. When we suppress our natural instincts, when we refuse to give the natural output to a given input, we literally become the broken machinery of the universe.
That is the exact logic being applied to human behavior here. The intrinsic nature of all things is the Tao, and the instincts of living beings are the attributes of the Tao.
So instincts are good.
Yes, displaying those natural instincts, eating when you are hungry, resting when you are tired, crying when you are sad, or simply feeling curious about the world, these are not flaws to be overcome.
Like we're often taught.
Right. According to this philosophy, expressing raw, immediate emotion is the literal definition of following the Tao.
Okay, so if you don't cry when the situation calls for tears, or, if you don't laugh when something is genuinely funny, the text labels you a Tao adversary.
A Tao adversary, yes.
You are opposing the fundamental forces of the universe by holding back your natural output.
And if suppressing our natural instincts breaks our own internal machinery, the immediate question becomes what happens when two broken machines try to interact with each other?
Which is pretty much all human interaction, let's be real.
Basically, yeah. This moves the text from mechanical analogies into the realm of human psychology, introducing what we can call the mirror metaphor.
Yeah, the text gets incredibly demanding in this section, like really intense.
It does.
It states a true Tao achiever must be holographic, meaning just like a physical hologram contains the entire three-dimensional image in every single microscopic piece.
The achiever must reflect the complete, unedited truth of their environment in every single action.
Exactly. And to do that, they must be completely empty. They possess no inherent love and no inherent hatred. They act purely as a mirror to whatever is in front of them.
It's radical.
It says, if the scenery around you is crying, you must cry. If the scenery is angry, you must be angry.
You match it perfectly.
Yeah. If you're looking at flowers, reflect flowers. If you're looking at a snail, you must reflect a snail.
It is a philosophy of radical reflection. The text argues that a Tao achiever cannot distort the image they are receiving.
Right.
If the situation is joyful, but you reflect sadness or apathy, you are failing to be a clear mirror. You are not matching the input. You have to sync with the energy of your environment flawlessly.
But it takes this matching principle to an extreme that is, frankly, going to be jarring for anyone raised with conventional values.
Oh, absolutely jarring.
The text says that if someone loves you, you must love them back simultaneously. But if someone hates you, you must hate them in return.
Hate for hate.
Right. If the person you are interacting with engages in deceit, you must also engage in deceit. If they play tricks on you, you must play tricks on them.
The psychological requirement goes even deeper than that, actually. A true achiever cannot harbor suspicion.
Wait, really? No suspicion at all?
None. The author gives a very specific example for you to consider. If someone comes up to you and says, "I love you," and your internal reaction is to pause and think, wait, is this person deceiving me?
What's their ulterior motive?
Right. Is this a trap? The moment you have those thoughts, you are instantly a Tao adversary.
Just for doubting them.
Yes, because you are not reflecting the input of love. Instead, you are generating your own corrupted output of suspicion.
Wow. Okay, I have to push back on this a little bit because it feels totally counterintuitive to everything we understand about, well, maturity.
It definitely goes against the grain.
Like, if I have to hate someone just because they project hate at me, or if someone plays a trick on me and my required spiritual response is to play a trick right back on them, aren't I just being petty?
It sounds like it.
How is mirroring someone's worst behavior a sign of spiritual enlightenment? It sounds like an endless cycle of playground arguments.
Well, what's fascinating here is the underlying mechanical logic the text uses to justify this stance. It operates completely outside our conventional ideas of morality.
Okay.
To the author, this isn't about pettiness, and it isn't about seeking revenge. It is strictly about not distorting reality.
Back to the machine analogy.
Exactly. Remember the scientific instrument metaphor we started with? By perfectly mirroring the other person, the Tao achiever is providing exact, uncorrupted feedback to the universe.
Okay, I see the mechanical logic there, providing uncorrupted data, but it's still incredibly hard to swallow from a human perspective.
It is a tough pill to swallow.
It essentially means abandoning every lesson we've learned about being the bigger person, or stopping a cycle of negativity.
But the author would argue that trying to be the bigger person is an ego-driven illusion.
An illusion.
Yes. The text states that the intrinsic nature of the Tao achiever remains immovable. The mirror itself doesn't change its physical properties just because it's reflecting something ugly.
Oh, I see.
You are empty. The hatred isn't yours, it's just a reflection of the other person's hatred. By showing them their exact reflection, you are giving the universe the exact data it requires to function correctly, without letting it stain your own intrinsic nature.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. That struggle I just had with wanting to be the bigger person, that is exactly what the text aggressively attacks next.
It really goes after it.
Because this concept of perfect mirroring directly contradicts almost every traditional moral teaching we have about tolerance, patience, and turning the other cheek.
It comprehensively dismantles conventional morality. The source material explicitly attacks the philosophy of tolerating or yielding to someone who is slandering or cheating you.
It actually calls out that specific passive mindset. You know, the whole let it go, ignore them, and just see where they end up in a few years mentality.
Right, taking the high road.
Yes. The text labels as a failure to accurately reflect facts back to a person as a detritus of Chinese culture.
Those are strong words.
Very strong. It calls it selfish. It says this isn't great wisdom at all. It's just self-serving cleverness designed to keep yourself out of immediate trouble while pretending to be noble.
And we should emphasize for you listening that we are impartially exploring the specific structural arguments made by this text rather than taking a stance on them. But the text argues that if someone is actively deceiving you, and you respond by showing them respect or polite tolerance, you are actually the one committing a cosmic wrong.
Because you are actively feeding the system bad data.
You are. If a deceiver lies to you, and you nod politely and act as if everything is fine, you are teaching that deceiver that their bad behavior yields a positive, frictionless result.
You're rewarding them.
The text says that by showing respect to a scammer, you reinforce their negative traits. You indulge their corruption.
Wow.
Therefore, the inevitable misfortune that will eventually fall upon that deceiver is actually your fault. You break the precision instrument of the universe by going against the Tao and failing to reflect their lie back to them.
It's essentially saying that politeness is a lie that damages the fabric of existence. The text argues that masking your true feelings, forcing a smile when you actually want to cry, pretending to like something you secretly hate, or showing affection when you feel to take, all of these polite social graces make you a deep, hidden scoundrel.
A scoundrel for being polite.
Yeah. If someone attacks you, the text dictates that you must instinctively fight back to protect yourself. To endure an insult and claim you feel grateful for the lesson is to become an enemy of the natural order.
It is a wholesale rejection of passive endurance, and the critique doesn't stop at societal politeness. It takes direct aim at established religious traditions, focusing heavily on Buddhism.
Oh, yes.
The text claims that the core Buddhist concepts of precepts, concentration, and wisdom are fundamentally contrary to the Tao.
The breakdown of Buddhism in this text relies heavily on this idea of input and output. It says that precepts, which are the rules or prohibitions of a religion, are just a form of artificial attachment.
Right, trying to control the uncontrollable.
The analogy it uses is trying to prohibit the rain from falling. It's a futile, unnatural effort. If you naturally desire something, but you forcefully repress that true nature because a religious rule told you to, you distance yourself from the mechanics of the Tao.
And think about the mechanics of deep meditative concentration, which the text also critiques.
Right.
If the universe is a system of constant flowing input and output, forcefully holding your mind in absolute stillness is essentially damming the river.
Stopping the flow.
Exactly. By trying to artificially freeze the system, the text argues you aren't finding peace. You are just turning vibrant life into a lifeless corpse.
Man, that is bleak.
And the wisdom that supposedly comes from this blocked state, the text dismisses it as mere strategy, a manifestation of hidden, suppressed desires finding a way to manipulate the world.
It even goes as far as claiming that Buddha Shakyamuni himself recognized this fatal flaw in the system.
Oh, the raft metaphor?
Yes. It references the well-known idea that all Buddhist Dharma, all the teachings, are merely a raft to cross the river. The text argues that once you have crossed the river to achieve the Tao, You must completely discard that raft.
You can't drag it with you.
Right. If you cling to the teachings, the rules, and the meditations, you haven't truly crossed over at all. You are just carrying a heavy boat on your back.
But this relentless stripping away of rules brings up a massive logical trap that the text has to address.
The huge red flag, really.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Because if we throw out conventional morality and we throw out religious precepts and we mandate that humans must act purely on raw, unfiltered instinct, perfectly mirroring whatever is in front of them without any moral restraint, what is the boundary? Doesn't this philosophy justify atrocities?
That is the immediate thought. What stops someone from committing a horrific act and just shrugging, claiming, I was just following my natural instincts. I'm a Tao achiever.
Well, the author anticipates this exact misunderstanding. The text explicitly addresses the scenario of someone committing a terrible act like sexual assault or oppressing innocent people and trying to use intrinsic nature as a shield.
And what do they say?
The author categorically rejects this interpretation.
It makes a sharp, vital distinction. It says that the desire to initiate harm is not true intrinsic nature at all. Instead, it is a symptom of a distorted and damaged life structure.
To explain the mechanism behind this, the text points to the animal kingdom, which operates purely on instinct without societal conditioning.
Okay, the animal analogy.
It gives the example of a flock of sheep. The text observes that a ram, no matter how excited or instinct-driven it might be, will never assault an ewe that is not naturally in heat.
Right.
The natural world has its own absolute, unbreakable boundaries governed by mutual biological input and output.
So a true Tao achiever never imposes their will on others.
Yeah.
I want to make sure we highlight this distinction for you listening because it is the linchpin that keeps this whole philosophy from collapsing into chaos.
It really is.
It is the difference between initiating an action and reacting to an action. The text states, "The mind reveals itself in response to events. Without an external stimulus, a Tao achiever does not create disturbances."
They don't start the fire.
Exactly. They don't wake up and decide to cause harm or chaos.
Yeah.
They are the mirror. They only reflect the specific data that steps in front of them.
They are purely responsive. Which brings us to the ultimate ideal state described by the text. After stripping away all the philosophy, all the forced politeness, and all the religious rules, what is left?
What does it look like?
The text asserts a true Tao achiever is like an innocent child.
It actually references Laozi and brings us back to Jesus, emphasizing this shared need to return to the state of a baby.
An innocent child displays all their emotions clearly on their face. They don't possess vanity. They don't pretend to like the taste of something bitter.
Right, if they hate broccoli, they spit it out.
Exactly. They lack complex moral judgments, meaning they don't use personal biases to categorize things as universally right or wrong, and they certainly don't care about conforming to societal standards of decorum.
They just exist.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the text offers a final rule for learning the Tao. You shouldn't try to learn it from so-called wise people. The wise people are the ones who invented the polite lies in the first place.
The wise people are the ones telling you to tolerate the scammer or to smile at the person insulting you.
Precisely the opposite of what the universe requires. Instead, the text says you must learn from nature, from mirrors, and from children.
That's quite a list.
To truly achieve the Tao, you have to forget yourself entirely. You have to remove your ego, your strategic desires, and your judgments so that you can serve as a faithful, unclouded reflection of the truth in front of you.
So what does this all actually mean for you? We have been on quite a conceptual journey today.
A very deep dive indeed.
We started by looking at the universe not as a magical realm, but as a precise machine governed by strict input and output mechanics. We explored the deeply challenging concept of being a perfect holographic mirror reflecting love for love and hate for hate without a single shred of suspicion.
Which is incredibly hard to do.
It is. We worked our way through the complete dismantling of our traditional polite morality, exploring the idea that forcing a smile might actually be corrupting the universe's data. And finally, we landed on this ultimate boundary. A Tao achiever never initiates harm, but strips everything away to become like a purely reactive, brutally honest child.
A pure reflection.
According to this text, a true Tao achiever has no self. They are nothing more and nothing less than the faithful reflection of reality.
It is a profound paradigm shift. And as we wrap up, I want to leave you with a thought to mull over as you go about the rest of your day.
Okay, let's hear it.
Think about the very next interaction you are going to have. Whether you are speaking to your boss, a close friend, or just a stranger at a grocery store. In that moment, are you going to be a clear mirror reflecting the absolute unfiltered truth of that specific interaction?
Yeah.
Or are you going to be a distorted reflection, hiding your true reactions behind the polite programming of society?
Hmm.
What would actually happen if, just for a single day, you let your mirror be completely clear?
Oh, man, that is a fascinating thought experiment. It really challenges how we navigate our daily lives. Thank you so much for joining us in this deep dive. Keep questioning the systems around you. Keep looking for the truth behind those polite smiles, and we will catch you next time.